Hey everybody, it's Leslie. And you guys, I'm in my kitchen this evening because I'm getting ready for some company this weekend and I am baking. Hi Louisa. Hey everybody. So here we are in the kitchen getting ready to bake because I'm getting ready to have some company this weekend and I want to make sure that I have an easy, delicious snack for them, especially after we get done working in the evening. Hi, it's good to see you. After we get done working in the evening and it's time for coming home and maybe having, you know, a light snack or something. It's good to see everybody. Welcome in everybody. And so I am gonna make some grain-free scones. They're also good for, maybe serving it with a protein for breakfast because they don't have a lot of sugar in them. And you get a little bit of, you know, something super yummy, maybe if you're a coffee drinker or something like that. So I'm gonna make some scones and I'm gonna teach you guys how to do it. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Leslie. I have a website, gotokitchens.com. It's right here in the title of this scope. Actually, it's at gotokitchens. You add the .com to get to my website. This is actually my website, and don't fret if you don't have anything to write down this recipe with. There's the website right there, because you can go right to my website and you can see the whole recipe for the grain-free scones and the instructions. And there's actually a how-to video on there that I filmed the Go To Kitchen style. So there you go. So if you know anybody that you think would be interested in learning how to make these, hi Nikki, it's good to see you. If you know anybody, hi, it's good to see everybody. If you know anybody that you think is, you guys, I have not memorized the names yet. Let's just get that out there right now. I'm working on it. Working on memorizing the name, so you're still gonna have to type in your name so I can call you. If you want me to say your name, then you're gonna have to type it in. So I can see Louisa is here, and I'm sorry, I don't know who everybody else is. Not yet, I'm working on it though. So I'm gonna make these grain-free scones, and I have all my ingredients out here on my cutting board, and we're gonna go through those, and I'm gonna make them, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna make them, I might as well scope it and show you guys how it's done. Now here's the benefit. It's Michelle. Hi, Michelle. It's good to see you. So here is the benefit of having grain-free anything. This is almond flour in here. So traditionally, when you're baking, you would probably, when you're making scones, yeah, you're welcome. When you're making scones, you would probably normally, thank you for inviting followers there. You love scones, me too. Love them. You would probably be using a traditional wheat flour. This is actually an almond flour, so there is no grain in this. Oh, cool. That's awesome. There is no grain in this. This is something that, this one actually you can just buy in the grocery store. This is made by Bob's Red Mill, and I trust that brand completely. And so this is just almond flour that I'm using. And by the way, this is 2 cups of almond flour, okay? Which is just basically ground up almonds. That's what almond flour is. So you're getting all that nut nutrition in here as well. That nutty nut nutrition. Yeah, you can make a lot of breads. You can make all kinds of fantastic things with almond flour. I will tell you, don't just go in and start replacing, especially if you're making cakes or something like that, don't just go in and start replacing regular flour with almond flour, because if you do that, you're gonna have very grainy cakes. This is great for breads and scones, and even some cookies and stuff are awesome with almond flour. So, but this particular recipe was designed specifically for these scones that I'm making here. Oh yeah, I love Bob's Red Mill. I have trusted them since they came out. I did a lot of research on the company, and I completely trust them. So, by the way, this is Splat, if you've never met him before. His name is Splat, and when you see this coming up on my scopes, when it's in front of the camera, when I start the beginning of, of my scopes, then you know that I'm gonna be cooking. So just so you know, my cooking scopes always have him at the beginning. So yes, this is him. His name is Splat. I love him. I think he's adorable. He and I, we kind of look alike, right? Except my eyes aren't oval and I don't have a round head, but yes, almond flour. Yes, so it's going to say like almond flour / meal, and yes, that's absolutely okay. So So here's what we're gonna do. I have my recipe right here because I don't make these in, like all the time. I just make them on special occasions. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I make them on special occasions, but and I'm not jaundiced. That's right. No, I'm okay. Okay, so Splat and I don't look anything alike, except we both like to smile. So I'm not jaundiced. You're hilarious. That's so funny. So, oh, I can see Robin just barely. Oh, there he is. There he is. It's my husband, by the way. So I have my recipe right here in front of me. I'll show you. I have a little recipe that holds, this is my salt block that I cook with, and this is my recipe holder. So I am using my recipe as well. Actually, it's not my recipe, it's someone else's recipe, but I use that to look at as I start to cook because I want to make sure, especially when I'm baking, because I'm not an awesome baker. So I'm not like one of those people who are like, yeah, I'm an awesome baker. I am not that girl. I am an okay baker. Like, I can get away with some things, but I'm not like fabulous baker. So there you go. Cat's out of the bag. If you are a baker, maybe you want to turn off the scope because I may do something that you're like, no, don't do that. Yeah, no, Splat is his name. Splat. Okay. So there you go. So in the bowl, already measured out, I have quite a reflection there. I have 2 cups of almond flour. Okay, so that's what's in the bowl already. So sometimes so I don't get big clumps of stuff, I just take and just kind of, it wants to clump together naturally. So I just take Splat here and just kind of mix that around so I don't have big giant chunks of almond flour in there. It almost looks like cornbread or something. You can make cornbread with almond flour and use real corn, and it's amazing. But yes, yeah, big clump of stuff. That's right. So to this, we're going to add all of our dry ingredients first. So our first dry ingredient is, let me look, 1/3 cup of arrowroot. You're not going to be able to see that at all. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. Hallelujah. 1/4 cup of arrowroot powder. This is just a starchy flour. This is going to replace like cornstarch or anything like that you may want to use. Arrowroot is, you can get it actually organic, non-GMO, and that's what this is. And I highly recommend. It's great to bake with. It's just a thickening agent, so it's going to make those nice, thick, biscuity kind of scones that everybody's looking for. So all the dry ingredients in, so I'm just going to mix that right in. Be sure to get it all out of there so that my measurements are correct. Okay. And then I have let's look. How much of this do I have? I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. So that's why they put it in baby cookies, maybe. I don't know. Yep, so this is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is an aluminum-free baking powder. I believe it's Bob's Red Mill as well. And then I have I have a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. So this is just a red sea salt or a pink sea salt right in there. So far, so good, right? So far, we're easy. Yeah. And then you're going to mix that around. So you're going to give that a good stir. Now, if that's all there was to baking, I'd be good at this. That's not all there is, though. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to baking than this part. So all my dry ingredients in. Mixed up. Ready for business. Okay. So the next thing that we have is 3 tablespoons of raw honey. Now it's kind of cold here in Colorado, so my honey, it sits in a cabinet, and so my honey's pretty thick. It's not super runny. It's not runny honey. It's just regular old raw honey. This is raw. People say organic, but all honey is organic. So you cannot control where the bees are pollinating. So you have to trust that most of it. Yeah. Well, it's chilly. It actually was a beautiful day today, but my honey always gets really thick and sugary. So this is 3 tablespoons of honey. We're not using any white sugar in this mix. We are only using honey. So no, like, just regular granulated sugar or anything like that. This actually equals just a little bit more. This is yogurt. This is just a French vanilla yogurt. Or you can use plain yogurt as well, but you're going to use 1/4 of a cup of yogurt. If you decide that you want this recipe to be dairy-free, then don't use the yogurt. They may not be quite as moist, but it's not gonna ruin the recipe. So I would be tempted to add a little bit more arrowroot if I wasn't going to use the yogurt, and a little, like maybe another tablespoon, and I would use a little bit more coconut oil, which is what we're going to put in next. The recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil. Let me see if I can get that to show up. This is just hard, this is solid state coconut oil, as you can see there. But I have found that in my climate that they get too greasy and they can be kind of flat. So I actually use less coconut oil. This is also something that you could skip, but you need to use the yogurt if you're not going to use that. You could probably use coconut milk. I would use less than 1/4 of a cup, however, because you want your dough to be pretty stiff when you get to the point where you're going to mold your scones. You want it to be pretty stiff, so just being super conscious about that. So this is actually 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. I do want some coconut oil in there, but I don't want a ton of it because, again, it tends to make them really greasy and kind of flat. Thank you for putting that in there, Miss Jennifer. So I've got 1 pasteurized egg. You notice I said pasteurized and not free range. If you want to know why, you should go watch my egg scopes at catch.me, go-to-kitchens. So we're going to put that in there. So this is a pasteurized egg, not free range. And we're going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. If I can get the lid open, I'm going to put it in there. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. And then we add our chocolate and cranberries after the batter is already mixed together. So I'm just going to mix this up now. Simple, simple. They really are pretty simple. Especially if you do a mise en place like I just showed you, where I had everything. Okay, so if you're not like super baker, let's just talk about this. Did I say pasteurized? I meant pastured. You're right. You're absolutely right. So if you're not a super baker, like I am not a super baker, my trick to making things a lot easier, thank you for correcting me. Yeah, no, it's pastured eggs and not pasteurized eggs. Holy crap. Don't get pasteurized eggs. I don't think there are pasteurized eggs. So pastured eggs is what you want. Vital Farms is my favorite egg. If you've never had a Vital Farms egg, I highly recommend that you check them out. They're amazing. But so I'm not a super baker. I am not like somebody who can just bake with my eyes closed. Yes, so there you go. So Vital Farms, yes, Vital Farms eggs. I'll show you their packaging because it's very distinct. You can't miss it. This is their packaging. How cute is that? Have you ever seen anything cuter than that package of eggs? Look how cute they are. They're called ethical eggs. And it's because their hens actually live outside and are allowed to do, there you go, pasture eggs, pasture raised, are actually allowed to do what chickens are supposed to do naturally, which is kind of a grazing, where they eat bugs and grasses and all kinds of things. Yes, and forage for themselves essentially, and then roost at night in a barn, and that's what chickens are supposed to do. And cage free, free range, all of those kinds of eggs, those are still caged. Even though they say cage free, they're still in a giant pen with a billion other chickens, and they get, you know, like room to turn around in, and that's it. So they're not in a cage so to speak. They're in a pen, but most of them are not even allowed outside. Free range chickens are actually allowed outside part of the day, but are still in an enclosed area. And pastured, yeah, there's all kinds of egg scopes there. That's right. Yes, and pasture eggs mean that they've actually been allowed to do what chickens do naturally. So yeah, big difference. And if you want to know more about Vital Farms, there's their logo right there. Vital Farms, great, amazing eggs. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my original statement. If you're not a super baker, I started that, never finished it, I got off on my eggs. If you are not a super baker, like I am not a super baker, then it is best to do mise en place, which means measure all of your ingredients out and put them in little bowls or on a plate or in mugs or in whatever, coffee filters. I've seen people use coffee filters for a mise en place, which mise en place just means everything in its place, and you can pre-measure everything so you're not constantly looking at the recipe and trying to measure out, because it is it is much better. I don't even know what that means. Sorry. But yes, so it makes it a whole lot easier if you are not an amazing baker. And I am not an amazing baker. I am an okay baker. I actually do that with a lot of my recipes. If a recipe is new for me, I do it that way as well, because I don't want to screw anything up, and it really helps me, helps to keep from doing that, screwing things up, I mean. Okay, so this is what the batter is going to look like. You can see that it's really thick. I mean, my spoon almost will stand up in it. Splat will almost stand up in it. So yes, nice thick consistency like that. That is what you want, because you're gonna form this, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. You're gonna form this, and you want it to be, you want to be able to form it into the scones. So, all right, so let me show you this. Well, I know what a Studebaker is. I just don't know how it relates. Sorry, you guys, if you think I'm really mean to Evan, it's because I know him. Evan is Summer's Wellness, by the way. So right here, I have about half a cup of cranberries. These are dried, no sugar added cranberries. Yes. So these are dried, no sugar added cranberries. And I have about, I don't know, this much chocolate. So yes, that's right. There they are. You can complain to that department, summerswellness@gmail.com. So this is how much chocolate that I'm using. Just like 4 squares, or 6 squares, not 4, 6 squares. I started with 4 and I was like, that's not enough. We need more chocolate than that. So I added 2 more. So we have 6. So 6 squares. This is just regular size, you know, chocolate bar. This is organic, 80% dark chocolate, cacao, all the good things. So you're just going to rough cut these and run your knife through there, because you want to be conscious about somebody not biting into a giant hunk of cranberry when they take this in. So I'm just going to run my knife through there and be very careful and not cut my finger as I do that. I'm just going to run it through there again. They're going to stick to your knife. There's nothing you can do about that. And I'm going to do the same thing with my chocolate. Same thing with my chocolate. And Jennifer is his wife, so Curl Girl Supreme is his wife, Evan's wife, so yes. Thanks for typing all that in. So same thing with my chocolate. I'm just going to run my knife right through it. Super simple. Easy peasy. So this is going to add a little bit of sweetness. Yes, you can, absolutely. This is going to add a little bit of sweetness to the mix. I want it all in there. Can you tell that? Thanks for putting that in there. All right, now I'm going to take the zest of 1 orange. Don't skip this step. You may be going, ew. Ew, that's gross. Okay, don't skip this step. This makes the whole recipe worth it. It adds a little zinger to it, and it is an amazing addition. So I absolutely love this. You can use any type of citrus fruit. I just like orange. You could use lemon. You could use lime. You could do whatever you wanted to. But I just scrape up my orange with my microplane. so you don't have big, if you zest it like with a zester, you're gonna get long curls. And if you do have that, I would just give those a quick chop. So I would do them on my cutting board and then give them a quick chop. I actually like to use my microplane for this because it makes smaller zest, essentially. This is what a microplane is. And this is an amazing step of this. So it's optional. Of course, they're gonna bake up just fine without it, but oh, the flavor's so amazing. Amazing. Does anybody know why you would want grain-free over wheat? Why would we want to eat grain-free? What's the big deal? Anybody know? What's the big hey-ho about eating grain-free? Why wouldn't we just use regular wheat flour? Uh-oh, I did not want that in there. Where did that go? That was the stem of my orange. Just fell off. Does anybody know? Just a quick answer. I'll take a quick answer. Gluten. Bingo. Yes. Now then, if you eat some gluten now and again, unless you're a celiac, you have thyroid issues, that's another reason. If you are eating gluten every once in a blue moon, unless you're a celiac, which you should be avoiding, don't throw your orange away. It's good for other things. Okay, so you're celiac. So if you are a celiac, then you should avoid gluten at all costs. If you're not a celiac, and it's a rare condition, it's actually a pretty rare condition, but if you are not a celiac and you eat gluten every once in a while, that's fine. You just want to try to avoid it as much as possible. So when you control your ingredients like we're doing here, you can totally control the fact that there is no grain in this. There's a little bit of sugar from the chocolate and the fruit, which I don't even count, and the honey, which is sugar. Sugar is sugar is sugar, even if it's in honey. Your body still reacts to it the same way, but there's not a lot of it in here. So you're getting something that satisfies your brain, that makes your brain very happy because they taste amazing, and that you can feed to your family and they're going to love because they taste amazing. And you can use any type of dried fruit in here, by the way, and you could also add some nuts if you were so inclined. My favorite combination is the orange zest with the cranberry with the chocolate. So you could leave the chocolate out. Yeah, local raw honey absolutely can help with allergies. You'd have to eat a fair amount of it for that to happen, but it can. Raw honey is great for stabilizing blood sugar right before you go to bed. It makes you feel full for most of the night, so it actually allows your body to enter a very satisfied slumber state. I'm not saying go eat a jar of honey or anything like that, but like a teaspoon, depending on your weight and your height and everything and what your sugar habits are. Yeah, about a tablespoon. Yeah. So, yes, but it is sugar. It counts as sugar, so don't be fooled that if you're using honey instead of sugar that you're not getting sugar. Sugar, sugar, sugar. So, yes. Okay. So I don't want to go too far with this because if I do, it's going to get kind of watery and I'm not going to be able to make the dough that I want. I'm going to wet my hands, so excuse me as I cross the camera here. I'm going to move all my junk aside here. I'm going to bring over my baking sheet and I'm going to plop this out right onto, maybe, it's pretty thick, right out onto my baking sheet. Now my oven has been preheating. My oven has been preheating at 325. I am busy this weekend. But I have to make this for my guests that are coming, Gary. So I needed to make them anyway, so I just decided that I would go ahead and scope it. So Gary is my brother-in-law. Actually, Gary is El Vampire and is my brother-in-law. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to make a ball. This is actually a little bit more liquid than I normally like them. I like them a little bit drier than this, but that's okay. These are hard to mess up, I'm telling you. So I'm going to make this into this. I'm going to make it just a little bit flatter because they're going to cook up a little bit. You're just going to kind of make a round circle. Everybody with me so far? You can see what I've done there? By the way, let me show you the dough up close, the batter. Lovely. Every once in a while, you're going to take a bite of scone and it's going to have a big piece of melted chocolate in it, and you're going to be so happy, and you're going to be thanking me, telling me how wonderful I am. Leslie's awesome. Does anybody know why you should be eating dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate? Ooh, tell me. I got to go get a spatula. Give me just a second while you're typing in your answers. I'm giving you guys a chance to be smart today. Antioxidants, golly, you are smart. So there's a couple of things that you could do here. If my dough was thicker, this is the process that I would go down for my scones. It's pretty thin, actually. It's a little bit more watery than I prefer. I think I let it set in the pan too long before I got it to this point, because I was chapping my lips about, not chapping them, I was flapping my lips about eggs. So there you go. That's absolutely right. Thank you, Jennifer. Ding, ding, ding. So if they were a little bit drier, I would be able to actually take my spatula and put it underneath the bottom, which you're not going to be able to do today because they're too wet. I would be able to put it underneath the bottom. I put too much yogurt in, I think. I would be able to put it underneath the bottom, and I'd be able to move them out and form them into the triangle that is traditional for scones. So I'm just going to actually play with them. I've got it portioned out so I know what my portions are. So I'm just going to form them outside of this, which is no big deal. I can totally do that as well. I'm just going to make little triangles. Not going to make my baking sheet very pretty, but that's all right. I've had worse things happen in baking. Oh my gosh, I have some baking horror stories. I've never been a good baker. My grandma, my Nana, tried to teach me 1,000 times how to make a very particular chocolate, cake that I used to love. I won't eat it now, but I used to love red velvet cake, and she's tried to teach me like 1 billion times how to make red velvet cake. Not happening. That's all I'm saying about that. Everybody must get sconed. Well, you'd want to with this. We are in Colorado, you know. You could get sconed here if you wanted to, illegally. If you were so inclined, you could get sconed here pretty easily. Just right down the street, in fact. They're everywhere. Hey, Pro's Kitchen. I just saw you today on, I think it was Dr. Christine's scope. I can't remember, but I saw you today, and I see that you are, at least part of you, is a professional football player. Is that right? Yeah, no, these are scones, not biscotti. Scones, beautiful scones. Actually, I'm not so sure how beautiful these are going to be, but they'll be good. They'll look homemade, which is good, right? You want your stuff to look homemade. Sorry, this part is really boring. It wouldn't have been so boring had this not been so liquid, but it's really liquidy. Liquidy. Go to kitchen's word. All right, I'm going to just pull up some of this dough here so I don't get burnt, stinky pieces. You want it to smell good in your house when you're baking, not stinking. And I'm going to get a paper towel and clean it up just a little bit more, so you guys bear with me. This is exciting scoping right here. Woo! I know you can hardly wait for the next thing. So the reason I'm wiping this up, obviously, is because I don't want these bits to get fried when I'm baking it. And it burn and stink, so that would be bad. I don't think I should bake on Periscope. I mess things up almost every single time I do it. All right, so there you go. They are ready to go in the oven, and they're going to go in the oven at 325. I want them to be sort of pretty. In the oven at 325 for how long? 20 to 30 minutes. I can come back and show you the finished product. I absolutely can. So I'm going to go put these in the oven. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm not going to stay on here for 20 or 30 minutes. Well, I say that. I've been known to do that. I'll be back. I'm coming back. All right, what do you think? Pretty easy, right? It's hard to screw them up, even though I'm not worried about it. Even though, no, I don't have the Rachel Ray Magic Oven. I wish I did. I don't, it's because I don't have the Rachel Ray Magic Staff. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so if I had the Rachel Ray Magic Staff, then I would have the Magic Oven. So where can I find the recipe? You can find that recipe at Go2Kitchens. Go to GoToKitchens.com. The website's right in the title of the scope. Go2Kitchens, Go2Kitchens.com, and click on recipes and type in the search engine scones, and it will actually bring this recipe up for you. There is a how-to video, maybe someday, right? There is a how-to video there. There is a little write-up about Nanette, who this is her recipe. There is the recipe and how to do it. And yes, and there's a picture of Nanette and I. That's Nanette, by the way. For those of you, I've said her name a lot lately. That's Nanette, and yes, I'm wearing a GoPro on my head because that is how I have film my Go2Kitchens episodes. So there you go. Yep, me and Nanette in her kitchen. So yeah, we had a lot of fun that day. She was teaching me to make scones. Her scones are absolutely gorgeous. Let me show you. Oh, dang, hold on. Nope, I can't show you. There's a tiny little picture there of her scones. That's what they look like when they're done. They're really lovely. And they're so yummy. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. When I film a Go2Kitchens episode, I wear a GoPro on my head because it is from the perspective of the hands. That's why I call myself the hands. If you see on my website, it'll say meet the hands, and that's I don't know there. Chia egg equals 1 teaspoon of ground chia and 3 tablespoons of water. Yes, you could do that if you don't eat eggs. If you're a vegan, you can absolutely do that. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, so I filmed from that perspective, so very rustic. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, they are. They look like there's something homemade, so. Okay. I was wondering what that was, so. Yeah, so there you go. Scones in a jiff. They'll be ready in about 20-30 minutes. You just have to watch them to make sure that they don't burn. It's good to have a little crispy edge. Like, you know, scones are shaped in that triangle and they're not made like in a big pan where you slice them or cut them. They're made in that little triangle like that because you get all the edges get crisp, and that's really good when they do that. So I like to actually make them kind of blobby in the middle and thin on the edges so that they get that moist center with those crispy not eggs. Yeah, as soon as they are done, I will come back on here and show you guys because I have to hang out anyway until they cook, although I have other errands to do tonight. So, and I may be back on in about, I don't know, maybe in a half hour, I will come back and I'm going to have another scope, which seems crazy, but every time I make homemade marinara sauce, I scope it. Yeah, I saw that. I was asking, I asked, who's the pro football player? I saw you on Dr. Christine's, the Digestion Doc scope this afternoon, and I saw that you followed me, and I followed you right back because I was so curious about who you are. So yes. So yeah. But I will come back, and as I come back, I will actually be ready and prepared to make the marinara sauce that I scope every single time because it is so easy to make your own spaghetti sauce or your own pasta sauce. I use it on veggies, we use it on spaghetti squash, we use it on all kinds of things, and I just keep it in the freezer, and I need to make some because we're out, and so that's my chore for this evening. It's not a chore at all. I actually love making it. So when I come back, I will actually go ahead and be making that live with you guys and show you the scones at the same time. How's that? That's a good deal, right? All right, so you guys come back in about half an hour and we'll be ready to see the scones and make the pasta sauce. So if you see me come on, it'll say like, you know, homemade marinara, and at the back end of it, it'll say scones. So you won't be confused. So you guys come back and see me. Go2Kitchens.com. My name is Leslie. Okay, good. Yeah, my name is Leslie. Please go check out my website. Thank you to all the replay viewers. Thank you to anybody that has ever watching this from any time, from any planet. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoy the scones. So I'll see you guys in about half hour.